well. Maybe we'll give 30 more seconds to our brothers and sisters to join us, inshallah. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي يسر ولا تؤسر وتممه لنا بالخير يا فتاه يا فتاه يا فتاح. Respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters in Islam, we are truly grateful and thankful for the bounties and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase for all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us in the company of the righteous in this world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us amongst the righteous on the day of Qiyamah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill our lives with mercy and rahmah, as all of us are in the need of the rahmah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, brothers and sisters, tonight is our third session in the series called Countdown to Ramadan. So we talked about multiple things related to the virtues, the benefits, the preparations of the month of Ramadan. So inshallah, tomorrow night will be the first night of the recitation of the Quran that inshallah we'll be doing, and 9 p.m. sharp inshallah tomorrow night through this Zoom platform and other platforms through Facebook and YouTube. We will be reaching out to our larger ICLI community, where Sheikh Ibrahim Najam himself and myself will be sharing a message for 15 minutes in the beginning at 9 p.m. And then inshallah from 9:15 onwards for almost half an hour, we have our two hufaz who will be reciting the Quran alternative days, one juz of the Quran that inshallah at least we can follow along with them, recite the Quran, and at least one khatam where the completion of the Quran can occur through this mean, inshallah. That is something that is planned, inshallah, for tomorrow evening. So for tonight, what do I really want to cover? There are four prophetic traditions, four ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ that I would like to cover. Two on the topic of suhoor, which is a very important part of our of fasting, which is also known as sahri, and also is the aspect of fasting and some of the protective things that we need to take as measures during the day, where we can truly make our fasting a means of a shield for us, a shield from wrong and haram. So with regards to that, I want to come towards the first hadith that I want to share with you today. The hadith is reported by Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, and Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu is the son of Umar radiallahu anhu, and his life is so beautiful. Wallahi, there's a hadith, whenever I talk about Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, I remember that incident when Umar radiallahu anhu was passing away. He was breathing his last, he was stabbed, and when he knew that he was coming towards the end of his life, his head was in the lap of his son Abdullah ibn Umar. And he tells his son, "Oh, Abdullah, put my face to the ground," meaning don't keep it on your lap, just put it to the ground in the dirt. So he said, "Why, oh father, why should I put your face in the dirt?" He said, "For indeed, if Allah will bless me, then no one can disgrace me. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will disgrace me, no one can ever honor me." Meaning, this is the worry of a man who Rasulullah said, if there is a prophet after me, it would have been Umar ibn al-Khattab. But this was the fear in the hearts of Sahaba, brothers and sisters. You know, Sahaba radiallahu anhu ajma'in sometimes used to make dua, and they used to say, "Oh Allah, I wish I was a bird and I would never have to face you on the day of Qiyamah. I wish I was a hair on a body of a mu'min, or a blade of grass that was eaten by an animal." Meaning, this was the fikr, the worry, and the fear in the hearts of Sahaba of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah also give us a touch of those fears, that fear. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu mentions, and they come to this hadith, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says, and he reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Verily, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his malaika, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his malaika sends blessings upon those who eat suhoor, who eat sahri." meaning those who eat the suhoor, Allah and His malaika and His angels send blessings upon those who eat suhoor. Look, imagine that first and foremost, we are being given the ijazah or permission to eat before fasting. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered for us not to eat anything, right, in suhoor, what would have done? We're just servants and slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But He makes it a means of blessing for us. And not only blessings, but the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and through angels, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes upon them. Brothers and sisters, the month of Ramadan is a month to utilize. As I mentioned yesterday, it's like being in a gold mine.
Go to the Bluetooth settings on your mobile device and choose Echo 6J6.
If we can have everyone please kindly, okay, good. So in the sense that it's a month of Ramadan is like a month of being in a gold mine, right? You're in a gold mine to take as much as you can. So in this month of Ramadan, suhoor, sahri, is something that is so important for all of us. A lot of time what happens, and because nights are still small because we are fasting in almost the summer months, a lot of time what happens is that we break our fast, we eat a little bit of food, then we make our tarawih, then we eat something at midnight, and then I say, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to eat anything. Just wake me up for Fajr. And it happens to a lot of youth as well, right? A lot of youngsters would say, you know what, I don't want to get up. And I specifically want to talk to those young people out there that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned to us, the barakah, the blessings of his Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his angels for those who are taking suhoor. Even if you're not eating a lot, or if you're not taking a lot, just take something small, considering it to be the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even if it may be a little bit of milk or date or yogurt or anything that you want to take, but I would say do not leave this beautiful sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because if you're waking up a little bit before the suhoor time ends, it is a great opportunity for you to make wudu and make 2 rakats of salah, which is qiyam and tahajjud. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, dua that is most readily accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a dua that is made after your fardh salah, your obligatory salah, and dua that is made in the middle of the night, and specifically the last third of the night. The last later portion, right before the Fajr time enters, is the most beloved time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to take out maybe 10-15 minutes, even if you can't do a lot, brothers and sisters, maybe you have long hours of work or anything like that, I would say 15-20 minutes or half hour before your suhoor, grab something to eat, and also put some time in Quran, put some time in dua. It's one of the most blessed and beloved times for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned this previously as well. Sheikh Muhammad Ilyas rahimahullah ta'ala anhu, who was a great scholar of his time, used to always say this, that through worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through multiple ways, one of the deeds that I have felt the most closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the recitation of the Quran before the time of Fajr. Meaning that's something that truly allows our hearts to be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first hadith that I share with you is the blessing of suhoor. Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his angels, malaika, sends blessing upon those who are taking the suhoor. I want to get to the second hadith, which is also related to suhoor, sahri. And the hadith is, and I read to you, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the difference between our fasting, meaning the fasting of the Muslims, and the fast of Ahli Kitab, the Jews and the Christians. If you recall, I had mentioned this previously, that the nations before us also fasted, right? Chapter 2, verse 183, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us, Kutiba alaykumus siyam, fasting is made mandatory upon you, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, as it was made mandatory for those people who are before you, la'allakum tattaqun, so that you can become God conscious, so that you can have taqwa. So it means it was mandatory for the nations before us as well. So Rasulullah ﷺ is saying the difference between our fast and the fast of Ahli Kitab, meaning the Jews and the Christian, the people of the book, is that we eat sahur and they do not eat. And that's what Rasulullah ﷺ said. And the Nabi of Allah ﷺ said, eat suhoor, eat sahri, because there lies a great blessing inside. There is another additional hadith connected to this. The Nabi of Allah ﷺ said, 3 things have barakah. Three things have tons of barakah and blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, jama'at, collectiveness. When we are together as an ummah, be a community, be a household, husband, wife, children, parents, brothers, sister, whoever it is, when we have collectiveness, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, jama'ah, collectiveness has barakah. Three things Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said had barakah, has barakah. And barakah means blessings. It may not look as it's a lot, but it will be truly productive, truly fruitful. You will see good results. You will see benefit for the humanity. So three things Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned has barakah, has blessings. Number one, jama'at, collectiveness, unity, be it a household, be it a family, be it a country, be it a community, be it a state, area, masjid, anything. Whenever there is ijtimaiyat, collectiveness, jamaat, and togetherness, there is barakah and blessings. Number one. Second thing Rasulullah ﷺ said, tharid has barakah. What is tharid? Tharid is actually a specific type of food that Rasulullah ﷺ loved to eat. It was bread that was broken into short, small pieces and put inside stew, and pieces of meat, if they were available, were put inside. So he would soak the bread inside this, and then he would, put pieces of meat if it was available. Otherwise, just the pieces of bread broken inside the curry, dipped inside, and then Nabi of Allah ﷺ would love eating tharid. The Prophet ﷺ said the fadila, the virtue of tharid over all the other foods is like Aisha over all the other women, meaning that's how he gave the analogy of tharid as well. So he said three things have barakah. Number one, Rasulullah ﷺ said, it is ijtimaiyat, collectiveness, jama'at. Number two, tharid. Number three, Rasulullah ﷺ said, and I quote this hadith to you, the Prophet ﷺ said, and the third thing Rasulullah ﷺ said, it is, sahri. It is suhoor. The eating and partaking of sahri will give you barakah in your life, in your time, in your wealth, in your iman, all of it. Because if Rasulullah ﷺ keeps it as general barakah, then we cannot limit it to anything specific. So having or partaking of suhoor is amazing, amazing. Blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is something from hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Hajar, who is a great scholar of his time, the one who wrote the commentary of Sahih al-Bukhari, the author of Fathul Bari, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi writes the reason why there is barakah, and I want to share some of these things with you, and I read towards you. The first thing Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala anhu mentions is that because it is the sunnah. And whenever we follow sunnah, there is barakah and blessings in following the prophetic traditions. And I would request our brothers and sisters, if you can, try to inculcate as much sunnah as you can in your own homes, entering homes, leaving home, looking at the mirror, entering the restroom, leaving the restroom, meaning, wallahi, there is so much barakah in the prophetic sunnah and dua and supplications of the Prophet. So Ibn Hajar mentions there are few reasons of why there is barakah. So Ibn Hajar listed different reasons regarding the barakah, the blessings of sahri. Number one, he writes the sunnah is followed. Number one. Number two, he says through sahri, we separate ourselves and our ways from Ahl Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, which at the time, of course, we are separated as Muslims, the hadith of Rasulullah that I already mentioned. Number three, it provides strength for worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It gives us that strength that we are able to go through the entire day of being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number four, it causes greater sincerity in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number five, it aids in preventing bad temper, which normally comes about in the result of hunger. Ibn Hajar mentions this. Number six, Ibn Hajar mentions suhoor or sahri is the time of the acceptance of dua. And last but not least, at the time of sahri, one gets the opportunity to remember Allah, make dhikr, and make dua. All of these are the things that Ibn Hajar mentions as the important parts of suhoor. So I would recommend everyone, inshallah, make sure that we can take this as an opportunity. For many of us, we're not leaving homes, we are home. We can get a little bit of rest, inshallah, but get up a little bit before suhoor, have your suhoor, make some tahajjud, make your fajr, and then take some rest, inshallah, and get to your works. but make sure that you do not miss on suhoor. That's number one part of today's countdown to Ramadan. The second part of my talk is related to how to protect our fast. Alhamdulillah, we avoid, drinking water, making sure the water doesn't go out the throat. If you're making wudu, we're really conscious about all of these things. But there are other factors, brothers and sisters, that we usually tend to forget, and we really don't pay attention towards the spirituality of our fasting, the true essence of our fast. With that, I want to share with you two ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and few lessons to take back from that as well. The first hadith in that is Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu relates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, many people who fast get nothing from fasting except for hunger. And many perform salah, meaning prayer by night, but get nothing except for discomfort of staying awake. Allahu Akbar. May Allah protect us, brothers and sisters. So Abu Hurairah says there are many people who are fasting, and out of all of their fast during the day, they get nothing except for hunger. Allah, may Allah protect us and not allow us to be amongst those. And there are so many people who stay awake at night, and they receive nothing out of their nights except for sleeplessness. They lose their sleep. They sleep. They lose their comfort. Reason being why. Ulama have given three different interpretations, meaning they have given three different reasons of why you fast and you get nothing except for hunger. What could be the reason that Rasulullah SAW mentioned? So ulama and scholars have given three interpretations, and I want to share that with you quickly, and I read to you. Number one, firstly, the hadith ulama mentions means that those who fast during the course of the day, and then when it comes time to break their fast, they break their fast with haram wealth or haram things that they have earned or haram things that they have cooked. Meaning all of their effort goes to waste. Subhanallah, may Allah protect us and allow us to consume what is halal and correct and right. May Allah make our consumption, our earning, in all means halal and tayyib and pure for us. So all the reward that he or she was getting for the reward of fasting is lost because of the greater sin of eating haram. That's one of the interpretations that scholars have given, that a person gets nothing out of fasting except for hunger. Number one interpretation, that they're not careful about what they're eating at the time of iftar or suhoor, and they don't care about halal and haram. Number one. And number two, the ulama have mentioned that it may mean that those who are fasting during the day busy themselves during the course of the day in backbiting and accusing and falsely talking about others. Meaning, yeah, they were fasting, but their tongues weren't secure. Their ears were not secured. They were not careful for what they were saying. So even though they fasted, it was nothing except for hunger for these individuals. May Allah protect us from being amongst those individuals. And the third interpretation that the scholars have given is that the person referred to this hadith is the one who does not stay away from haram and evil deeds. They stay away from water, they stay away from food, they stay away from becoming too close to their spouses and whatever it is. But when it comes to haram and evil, that's still a part of their life. May Allah protect. So for these individuals, Rasulullah SAW said they receive nothing out of their fast except for hunger. So brothers and sisters, as we stay away from eating and drinking and other means, it is important for us to also make sure that we stay away from any or every disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only in Ramadan, brothers and sisters, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we try for 30 days, it is likely and very likely that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow us to do good for the rest of our lives, because we're showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I want to do something correct. Now I want to turn towards the last hadith before I finish, because the last hadith has few very practical points to take back for us. So the last and final hadith is the famous hadith of Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu. Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu mentions, Ubaidah radiallahu anhu mentions, and he says, I've heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying fasting is a protective shield for a person. Meaning, for a fasting person, your fast is a protective shield as long as he or she does not tear up that protection. Allahu Akbar, right? When we get something valuable, our phones, technology, things, we put covers on it. We have, like, subhanallah, we have never even seen our own phones because we cover them the day that we get them, because we really don't want scratches to be upon them. Meaning we protect them through shields and through covers. Rasulullah SAW said, your fasting is a protective shield for you from haram, from wrong, from evil, from all the bad, except unless you yourself tear upon that shield. You open up that shield and you allow the wrong to come inside. That's what Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned. The ulama have told us that there are 6 things about which we should be caring about while fasting. And this is my last and final point. So we talked about suhoor and sahri. Allah and His angel sends mercy and rahmah upon them. Rasulullah ﷺ said the difference between us and Ahl Kitab and their fasting is suhoor. And we talked about some of the benefits that Ibn Hajar mentioned of suhoor and fasting, waking up and dua and tahajjud and durood and dua, and then your suhoor. Then we also talked about the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, where you get nothing out of your fasting except for hunger, which refers to either eating haram, either backbiting and gossiping, or not staying away from haram. This is the final hadith, that fasting is a shield for us. It's a protective shield for all of us till we tear this up ourselves. So ulama have mentioned that there are 6 things that can help us protect our fast. There are 6 things that, inshallah, if we all work upon, and this is our internal, making of ourselves to making our fast truly valuable. So the first thing ulama mentioned is that one should keep their eyes and their glances and their gazes away from anything that is the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to the men and the women in Surah Nur chapter 24 to protect their eyes from haram, right? To bring modesty and haya in their eyes. May Allah give us modesty and haya in our life, brothers and sisters. So to protect your eyes from roaming around and looking at things that are not appropriate. That's number 1 step ulama have mentioned. It's like cooling or heating a room and keeping the windows open. Right? You're not going to be able to get that perfect temperature when you secure that location that you're really sitting inside. So ulama mentioned number 1 thing is to make sure that we keep our eyes protected from all haram. Number 2, we should guard our tongue. We should guard our tongue from lies and from unnecessary talks and backbiting and arguments. Rasulullah ﷺ saw a woman who, subhanAllah, was dying, almost dying because of hunger. And Rasulullah ﷺ, when he was informed about her that she was fasting and she was almost dying of hunger, Rasulullah ﷺ had brought a bowl and told her to vomit. And when she did, it was flesh and blood came out. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, this is from the ayah of the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, that backbiting and gossiping is like me eating the blood and the flesh of your dead brother. May Allah protect us. So number 2 thing, brothers and sisters, is to protect our tongue from argument, from unnecessary talk. Utilize your time, brothers and sisters. Everything is multiplied 70 times. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, istighfar. All these beautiful adhkar that we can do. Spend time in Quran. Wallahi, only if we were to give time to Quran, we wouldn't have anything else to do, right? If we were to really focus upon Quran, other than our work at home, that we take care of our families, the work that we have to take care of our financial responsibilities. If we were to take us aside that time in our individual time, Allahu Akbar, if we were to spend only in Quran in Ramadan, we wouldn't have any other time. So number 1 is to protect our eyes. Number 2, to protect our tongues from haram. Number 3, the person who fasts must be careful about what they hear as well, right? You may not be saying anything wrong, but you're hearing things from others. People are calling and he is like this and she is like this, or they are like that, or something, just unnecessary things, brothers and sisters. You don't want to consume your minds and your heart and your thoughts for things that are really not going to benefit you. Number 4, the ulama have mentioned that the rest of the body should be kept away from sins and wrong things. Every single portion of our body should be utilized in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us. 5thly, after having fasted, it is not good to break the fast or after iftar to fill our stomachs completely. Number 5 thing. Yes, you need to break your fast, you need to eat, but don't overeat. That is also one of the means of us not being able to truly benefit from the essence of fasting. Because brothers and sisters, Allahu Akbar, I say this every Ramadan, that for us we know the countdown 80, 7:46 or 7:45 or whatever time the fast breaks the first day. We already know the time, we already know the menu, we already know the lineup, we already started preparing. But there are so many people across the globe who will never see the time of iftar because it may never come to them. They may never have anything to eat, right? So don't overfeed yourself, right? Keep a little space, right? Keep a little, amount left so that you can realize what true fasting is, right? Don't use this as an excuse that, oh, Hadith Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said there is barakah for mu'min in Ramadan. Yes, there's barakah in other things too, not only in your plate, right? Not only in my stomach, there's other barakah ways too. So we need to be careful, brothers and sisters. And that also takes me to the aspect of wasting as well. Please avoid as much as you can. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, excuse me, the Quran says that those who waste are from the brothers and sisters of shaitan. The Quran telling us. So let's minimize that amount. So number five thing is, number one, the first thing that I mentioned to you at the moment was, first thing Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to us, firstly, one should keep away their eyes from haram. Number two thing that we talked about is our tongues from haram and wrong. Number three is our ears from listening from haram. Number four, our entire body. Number five, decrease the amount of eating. Don't fill yourself to the max. And last but not least, the sixth point that ulama had mentioned is that after fasting, we should always worry about whether our fast has been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. And that takes me to my final statement. Sometimes I talk about Sahaba, I become emotional because I love Sahaba, brothers and sisters. Sahaba were the greatest men and women on the face of this earth after the Anbiya and after the Prophets, alayhimus salam. And I was reading upon the Sahaba, it said that our Sahaba cried after their good deeds more than we cry after our sins. Allahu Akbar. Sahaba cried over their their good deeds more than when we cry over our sins. Why? Because they were too afraid that they had not fulfilled the haqq and the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They may not have been able to do it properly, meaning the deeds and actions, and subhanallah, that allow them did not, that their deeds may have not been accepted. And today we don't even cry that much over the sins, may Allah forgive, that we commit. We don't even cry over this. So brothers and sisters, as the month of Ramadan is almost upon us, it is one of the greatest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought us this far towards the month of Sha'ban. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to enter the month of Ramadan with ease and comfort. Let this not be a switch on and a switch off aspect of Ramadan, brothers and sisters. This is my humble request. Do not let this be, oh, we turn on Ramadan and then we turn off Ramadan at the end of. No, it is something to take for the rest of our lives. So let's make the best out of the month of Ramadan, inshallah. As we know that we've had few quick announcements in the beginning, I'm going to repeat those announcements as well, inshallah, starting tomorrow night, which is April 23rd, Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, inshallah. We will begin our virtual sessions of our recitations of Quran. Sheikh Ibrahim Nashim from Egypt, myself, inshallah, from 9 to 9:15. We both will take the first 15 minutes to share reflections. Sheikh will speak for 5-6 minutes. I'll speak for 5-6 minutes. And inshallah, we will share my topic that I'm thinking, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the 30 days of Ramadan will be the counsel of the pious, all right? Counsel of the pious, the advice that the pious predecessors had given us. I want to share that with you for the next 30 days, inshallah. So we'll have that, inshallah, every night from 9 to 9:15, and at 9:15, inshallah, we will start the recitation of Quran. Tomorrow night, Sheikh Tanweer, inshallah, will be reciting the first juz, and the next night, inshallah, will be Dr. Asad Beg, who will be reciting, so that we can follow along, and inshallah, hopefully we'll be done in half an hour with that. That's number one thing that we should remember. Starting Friday morning, which is the 24th, I think, inshallah. So tomorrow is the 23rd, which is the first night of our recitation. 24th will be our first fast, inshallah. At the time 5:15, if you can check the website and other social media platforms, inshallah, at 5:15 I will be sharing a 10 to 15 minute reflection. My hope, inshallah, is that for the next 30 days, starting the 1st of Ramadan, inshallah, I want to share with you one Quranic supplication, one dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us from the Quran for the next 30 days. So 30 Quranic supplications, 30 dua from the Quran, inshallah, I will be covering. That will be our session, inshallah. We also have our Jummah reflections from 1 o'clock, inshallah. We also have our drive-through donations on Fridays 2 to 4 and Sunday 3 to 5. We also have the links to support the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your zakat, your fitrah, your sadaqah, your donations, and GoFundMe page. All of that is in our links. So kindly, inshallah, join us in all these things. May Allah accept this from all of ourselves, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to reach the month of Ramadan with khair and afiyah, and accept this on all of our behalf. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for joining us, and jazakumullah khairan for joining us again. And inshallah, we will see you tomorrow night, or tonight, inshallah. Also, we have our session at night, but tomorrow night for the routine of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.